Okay, this is an interesting article here in my hands. This is a CNBC article. Headline reads, 92% of young people would sacrifice other perks, these are now business perks, for a 4-day work week. No surprise here. 1/3 of Gen Z and millennial workers say they'd be willing to work fully in person if it meant shaving a day off their work week. Well, this is pretty interesting. And, sometimes these polls, they measure emotions and opinions, but many times you go, I just don't think there's a chance of this happening. Can I tell you that I think this could happen? I think this poll data actually has a very good chance of happening, where you will see companies come in and go, all right, we want you back into the office. You want to be remote or hybrid, but here's what we're going to do. If you come into the office, and they may say in a hybrid model, or you come in 4 days a week, so the entire time, we're going to give you that 4-day work week schedule that you desire. I think this is going to happen. Largely because I think the 4-day work week is going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I think the horse is out of the barn. The ship has sailed. Pick your metaphor. I think it's happening. It is absolutely. Now, I'll get into that in a minute about what needs to happen for a 4-day work week to work. I'll get into that in a minute. Just my opinion. I've thought through it. But I think it's coming. So this could actually happen where companies go, all right, I'll tell you what. We believe that people being in the office is good for culture. It's good for creativity, innovation, communication, on and on and on the list goes. And I agree with that, by the way. I'm not anti-remote work. I'm not anti-hybrid work. But I do think community is best when we're together. And I think that goes without saying. Now, other sacrifices that Gen Z is willing. By the way, this is a bank rate survey. This is the source of this data here. Here are some other sacrifices that Gen Z and millennial employees, so this is the two youngest demographics in the workforce today. Okay? Another sacrifice they're willing to make in exchange for a 4-day work week is including working longer hours. That's 48% said, I'll work longer hours if I got a 4-day work week. 35%, I'll change jobs if I get a 4-day work week. And 27% said, I'll work weekends or evenings. Whoa. Methinks that wouldn't last long, but I don't know. Maybe they thought it through. And then 13% said, this is crazy to me. 13% of Gen Z millennial workers said they'd take a pay cut in order to have a 4-day work week. Young Andrew, the video producer, is in there shaking his head. He doesn't buy it. I agree with him. This is where, again, you got to be careful with polls, right? Somebody hits these young people with a poll question. They go, you know what? I'd take a pay cut. Maybe some of them would. Maybe some of them would go, I'm going to adjust my lifestyle. But I just don't see in the American consumer the willpower, if you will, to say, you know what? All right. I'm going to take a 5% pay cut, 10%, whatever it is, in order to only work 4 days a week, and I'm just going to adjust my lifestyle. I don't see it happening. I'll tell you the other one I don't buy, and that's working weekends or evenings. I think that lasts approximately 2 weeks, maybe not even that long. So be careful what you ask for, because I'm going to tell you something. I do think companies are going to start paying attention to this data. I think this is going to become a viable, I didn't say reliable option, but I think it'll become viable for people to go, well, let's think about this. What would this look like? That I do think will happen. All right, now, these younger generations are really, really, really focused on flexibility. Now, you're going to hear things like work-life balance and stuff like that, which, again, is just such a tired old phrase. It doesn't even make sense. There is no such thing as work and life balance. They're not balanced. It's impossible for them to be balanced. But you can live a very healthy life in imbalance. This is all just about how you are using your time. You want to drive yourself crazy? Try to balance life and work. No. Learning how to live imbalanced in a good rhythm, in a healthy environment, that's the game. And that can be done. And can I just say, I feel like I've got that. I mean, for years now, at Ramsey Solutions, I'm just tell you, I am imbalanced. There's no question about it. I'm at work, doing work more than I am anything else. But in my imbalance, I am a very blessed man. All right, now, the older generations, where are they at on this deal? 86% of Gen X, that's my generation. By the way, Alex, are you Gen X or millennial?
Barely a millennial.
Barely. You're right on the line. Okay. So, Joe, you're Gen X, aren't you?
Boomer.
You're a boomer? Ah, I love it. All right, so this is why I'm asking, because I'm the only Gen Xer in the show, and 86% of my generation, plus baby boomer workers, there you are, Joe, said they'd be willing to give something up in exchange for a shorter week. All right, Joe, putting you on the spot. We're not holding you to this. This is just fun. What would you be willing to give up, Joe, for a 4-day work week?
How about all my lunches?
Oh, very interesting.
Now, the interesting thing is I don't take lunch anyway.
Well, you're not supposed to tell anybody that. You just shot your idea in the foot. But essentially what Joe was choosing was a longer workday. And that was one of the options. So Joe, the boomer, goes, I'll tell you what, I'll work the longer 4-day schedule in order to get the 5th day off. I like that choice. That would be mine. That would be mine too. That would be my choice. Changing jobs. Listen, don't forget, folks, that millions of Americans regretted changing their job over the last 2 to 3 years. Millions. Because they thought, oh, I'm going to take the better job. We've reported on this extensively on the show. So be careful about that. The older generation said 86% said they would be willing to give something up in exchange for a shorter work week. And 61%, Joe, they sided with you and me. 61% of that group, Gen Xers and boomers, said they'd work longer hours. And I just think there's a good work ethic there. And they're like, yeah, that's no problem. Give me a 10-hour day. Now, Joe has figured a way to engineer around that because the guy doesn't eat anyway. But he's like a brown bear. He has a very hibernating type style of eating. I think he only eats once a day, folks. I've known him a long time. He's like a camel. You just eat once a day, don't you?
Yeah, and I get here at the crack of dawn.
Yeah, tell everybody this is amazing. Tell everybody when you get here, Joe.
About 6:15.
Gets here at 6:15. What time does the rooster go off at your house?
In the 4 o'clock hour.
You get up in the 4 o'clock hour?
Yes.
Wow. All right. It's amazing. I can't do it. Now, let me just walk through what I think it's going to take for a 4-day work week to actually work. You ready? Because some of you out there are going, I'm in management, I'm in leadership, or I'd like to take as my leader. I think there's 3 things, Alex, that if leaders can figure this out, a 4-day work week will work, but I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. Here we go. First, I think it's actually about leadership. Here's what I mean. Communication and trust. 4-day work week to work, you're going to have a leader who communicates and a leadership team that communicate really, really well because you're going to have to figure out what that rhythm looks like to make it work. And there's going to have to be high levels of trust between the leadership and the team to make it work. Secondly, systems. I think it's just about workflow. And it's how you manage the workflow going into a 4-day week. And I also think it's how you take care of the customers. Can you take care of the customers and can you maintain a healthy workflow? Number 3, I think it's about the industry or the company. In other words, is a 4-day work week actually feasible in your line of work? If it is, and you get the other 2 things, I think it can work. But it's not going to work for everybody. We'll see.